Well, welcome here to the Air Crash Investigator, and this time I'm going to have a look at, it's a mid-air. It happened at Wonderboom. It's actually the number 2 on final, sort of landed on the number 1. Not a new accident. We've seen this picture many a time, but the circumstances change and we actually should learn something from that. But before I carry on, let's have a look here at your Seams products. Seams has got a lot of online products, crew resource management, there's dangerous goods, and many more. Just have a look there. Well, the Piper and the Jabiru collided just before touchdown, and the airport was controlled. Right, but before we carry on, let's just look at the two aircraft and see what is the problem. All right. The aircraft in front, the Jabiru, high wing, and the aircraft in the number 2 position, and that's the important part that we must have a look at, is it's got a low wing. Now, that means that whenever you are number 2 on final, and you've got a low wing, there's going to be a certain angle where you're going to experience a blind spot. And that is what we must know and we must remember. Not just the pilots, ATC must also take note of this one. A little bit of flight history. Wonderboom aircraft, ATC was on duty, and the Piper Cherokee, he was doing circuits and landings on runway 29er. Right, so it would have been right-hand circuits. Now the Jabiru was cleared to join final approach on runway 29. In other words, they were coming here from the east, flying towards the runway, and they were going to land directly. The interesting thing here is that the tower asked, and they were talking, and the Cherokee 180 pilot, the student pilot that was in there, actually acknowledged that he was number 2. And even when he was on final approach behind the Jabiru, the tower suggested that he rather go around. Well, already you can see a suggestion helped nothing at this stage of the game, but we'll have a word about that. And then the Piper actually came and sort of nearly perfectly, but landed on top. And it was a non-fatal crash, but nonetheless, it could have been very horrific in terms of that. The aircraft, though, that's a different story. In the circuit, we've got the Cherokee 180, and on final, we've got the Jabiru. But what I want you to notice is I whittled down the speeds to knots just to keep it the same sort of apples here. And I'm saying that the Cherokee was doing probably between 70 and 75 knots. That would be just 80 to 85 miles per hour. The downwind leg, and then on final, the Jabiru would have brought the speed back around about to 65, 70. They're busy starting to get ready now for the next phase. Here we can see, I've just drew them a little bit closer to each other, but just looking at the speed, 70, 75, 60, 65. Here we're already now looking from the base leg. Now remember, I don't really know what the speeds were, but I'm trying to figure this out and say, here we're already looking very close to a 10 knot difference. Now, 10 knot difference in a small circuit like this, well, we're going to play catch up. That's for sure. If we don't extend the downwind long enough, there's going to be a problem. So the judgment error here could have been that from the pilot and, suggested maybe also that from the ATC. Yeah, just show that they're much closer to each other, and then eventually they ended up on top of each other. Right. Now, what caused the accident? Strictly speaking, the number 2 landed or collided with number 1 just before touchdown. All right, so that was the cause of the accident. But what were the contributing factors? And I wanted to look at them because that is where we can learn. So the first one I say here, remember, we've got a fresh solo student in the circuit. Now, whether that's fresh the first time or the second consolidation, it doesn't matter. Remember, flying alone is like a brand new experience. The student has flown so many hours now dual and being prepared, probably in excess of 25 hours, and now all of a sudden, we now sitting here where there's no mummy, there's no daddy, there's nobody that can help you to look out and. It was a very busy period. We can talk about that. People flying in that circuit, they are pretty used to high volumes of traffic as well as high volume of radio traffic. And then the ATC did say go around, but all right, that was a suggestion. It didn't really sound like a serious or strict command. But now, the part that we shouldn't miss is to say the state of mind, the human, that contributed to the accident as well. And I said, it's quite possible that the traffic at that stage, especially plus because somebody is coming in from the outside, was a little bit overwhelming to the student pilot. The aircraft speed differences meant there was a nice catch-up being done. And remember that the catch-up really started playing when the aircraft turned base. That is where the judgment era started. The moment, if the downwind was extended a little bit longer, all right, would have been a different. However, just remember also that there was visual impairment for number 2. You couldn't see number 1. So everybody is complaining about number 1, and number 2 is not seeing number 1. And yes, you can say, why didn't he react on that? Well, that's the human for you. There was a loss of situational awareness, but remember the awareness, we mainly use our eyes and our ears, and the eyes were blind to that position at this moment in time, and the ears was just the suggestion at this stage to go around. Not very convincing. Okay, so what are the lessons? First of all, student must be monitored and assertively warned during the flight by also stating the problem and not just the command. Wow. All right. Whoa. Who must do oversight? Well, the instructor must be there. Remember, in all the solo consolidation periods in the circuit, instructor must be there. But what is the instructor doing there? The instructor is looking and seeing and helping and supposed to help when he can see that his student is making mistakes or, getting a little bit disorientated and so on and so on. And that is where the instructor must start speaking. But it looks like there's a little bit of a problem because the ATC is not going to hand it over to. So I don't know what the instructor is doing. Otherwise, the instructor must get the ATC. Hey, tell this guy this and that, and the rest. I don't know if that is so good. ATC must see if instructions are followed. Whoa. It is one thing to suggest something. It's another thing to command something. And in both cases, the resultant action from the recipient of that command or that suggestion, we must see what he's doing. That is the idea of oversight, nothing else. Especially when you've got somebody who is maybe been in the circuit for a few hours, but remember, very, very few Well, an hour, maybe an hour, hour and a half, I don't know. The maximum time that this person has got alone in the circuit, bit of a problem. Now, the instructor must be able to talk to the student, as that will be a familiar voice and have a calming effect. I know it is just about not possible, but I think it is possible. If you sit in the tower and you've got to look as well, and you've got to react instantly on something that you're seeing pertaining the last moments of your student, he could have had a mic. But no, we don't know, because I couldn't pick it up. Did he have a mic? Didn't he have a mic? Did he speak up? Didn't he speak up? The fact is that nobody burst this bubble in which the student was. You can say whatever you like. That was the human side, and you had to pierce into it. And that is why we do the oversight. Well, all right. Now, the student must be operate a busy circuit, must be properly weaned off the instructor's warnings, inputs, and awareness assistance to ensure situational awareness. Here we get. Remember now, 20, 25 plus hours, here sits the student and the instructor is saying, do you see that? Did you hear that? How are you going to compensate for this? Did you check that? And. But what was the weaning off? And I'm not saying it was wrong in this case. I'm just saying we must learn that the student must be weaned off this mummy and daddy sitting next to him, or her, for that matter. You must be weaned off. You must be able to take in information, work with the information, make decisions on the information whilst you are flying. Probably the most serious indicator why we have more than one solo student accident in a circuit, especially the busy circuits. All right. Now, as I said, the high wing, and remember, whenever you fly a high wing, ATC, please notice that if number 2's got a high wing, it's not a problem. If number 2 has got a low wing, it's a problem, because number 1 on final may be, in certain circumstances, be obscured from his vision. And then lastly, I say, I'm not so sure. What happened so that we will join on an initial, or maybe you call it these days, to join overhead, and then to flow from that position into the circuit to gel with the rest of the traffic. That has been the recognized way for the past many years. So I'll leave you with this thought. You will say to me that I have, or we have, or whatever the case might be, cleared an aircraft directly onto final into this busy circuit 1,000 times. And I'll say to you, all right, were you lucky 999, or were you just unlucky the one time? Well, make up your mind. So, enjoy flying. See you in the next round.